Hello, everybody, welcome. It was just like investigator, hello, huh? Everybody, welcome. It was just like investigator. So, welcome to this wonderful time the world is going through. Just kidding. What a time to be alive. May you live in interesting times, right? So here we are living in interesting times. Okay. So, guys, I don't know where there's so much going on today. Let's do protection. Okay, I'd like to ask for protection, a beautiful ray of light coming on top of my head as I breathe in. I feel my lungs as I breathe out. I create a circle. I create a circle. I step into it. I step into it. I feel connected. I feel protected. I'd like to ask that information come only from the highest sources, that I create the good and only the good, and so it is. Okay. So, there's a lot to discuss today. No, seriously, I don't even know where to start. We really are in the middle of this, right? And I was saying, I think I said it on the video that I did with Corina yesterday. I sometimes get so focused. I start looking at the news and then reading, and then I don't do the video because then it gets, you know what I mean? It sort of gets to you. I don't know how to explain it. So now I'm gonna try to see if I can just do it, how they say, right? Just do it. All right. So let's go. Let's go. Okay, so let's see. U.S. Senator says El Salvador denied request to meet Kilmar allows um, Abreu Garcia. Chris Van Hollen condemns unjust situation and says Vice President blocked access to wrongly deported man. And by Vice President, I believe he means the El Salvador Vice President because I had seen a note, something about this before earlier today that said that he was speaking to their vice president. Okay. Okay. At a press conference in El Salvador, Van Hollen had said he had met with the country's vice president, Felix Ulloa, who told him it would not be possible for him to speak with Abrego Garcia in person or on the phone. I asked the vice president if I could meet with Mr. Abrego Garcia. He said, well, you need to make earlier provisions to go visit CCOT, Van Hollen said. I said I am not interested at this moment in taking a tour of CCOT. I just want to meet with Mr. Abrego Garcia. He said he was not able to make that happen. Okay, so let's find out here what is going on in the situation. Of course, we know that Trump met with the president of El Salvador, Bukele, right? And he said, no, we're not going to send him back. But I had seen before that I had seen the man out of the prison. Okay, so let's see here. I know some, no guys, this is one of those things. If somebody's just curious about these glasses, they're from Zillow. There's a Chinese app. I love it. Isn't it is so me. It reminds me of Iris Apfel. You know who that is? Iris. There was a documentary about her. This lady passed away recently. She was in her 90s and she was a fashion icon. Oh, but she always wore very like what you call it, over the top. But this is good. This is good. I have visions. I need big glasses. Hi, I'm Rosie Basic. I am Rosie. It's not a commercial, but I'm just kidding. Hello. Do you have big visions for your life? Do you envision a different future for yourself? Maybe you need big glasses with large lenses. I think so too. Just a commercial. Um, I got it at Zillow. It's a great app, Chinese app, yeah. Because Chinese make a lot of good things. So to be honest, let's go real. So here it is. Anyway, just apropos of nothing, changing subject completely. Okay. Now let's go back to what's going on here, the situation. Back to the reporting. El Salvador. What's going on here with the El Salvador situation? So I see that this is going to become a huge issue internationally, and even could the ICC get involved in this something? And it will become a huge issue. It's already a massive issue, but there will be House members visiting. There will be a lot of things happening, and eventually they will give in. And I don't. I know people have said, "Oh, I think he's dead." I don't think he's dead. I think they have a deal with Trump, and that guy is criminal. The current Bukele, whatever his name is, current president of El Salvador. So I still see that he will be reunited, but is it? I just feel like right now there's so much, and I even see we talked about the other day, Eric Prince, and things are happening so fast that I haven't had a chance. I'm not going to go talk about it today, but because there's no time. But he's involved. He wants to be involved in the prison arresting of immigrant situation. So there's essentially a lot of financial corruption related to this, and I see that Bukele is getting a little nervous because he thought, oh, another gravy train from the Americans. And he was involved in this whole crypto thing, Bitcoin, whatever. It's just essentially corrupt and money laundering. And there's somebody in that government who's actually in the Magnitsky Act list for corruption, money laundering. Just to tell you how bad, the situation is very dire over there. You know what I mean? Like it's very I mean, what can you say, right? So but it's not going away. And eventually, you see, feels like I think eventually the military, US military may get involved. I feel like there's no rule of law really in this country at this moment, to be honest, right? Like in a traditional sense. So 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 that's that. That's where I stand. I don't think this is going to be resolved, even on this trip necessarily, okay? It will take more time. Let's see and the Supreme Court is like, oh, well, said they dictate the law, but they don't necessarily enforce it, right? They're not going to enforce. I don't think. That's why I feel it has to be the military. They may push because it's completely unprecedented, this whole situation. And any time you have to rely on, I feel like the legal system, it takes years for something to happen, right? Because and that's where we are today. Okay, so but that's it, guys. I don't. I think he will come out. I think the pressure is only beginning. It's not going to go away. I don't think it's that at all. And it is what it is. Okay, so let's go to the next. All right. Okay, so this is CNBC and stock futures. You're breaking. Stock futures are a little changed after major averages tumble in tech sector sell-off. Powell indicates tariffs could pose a challenge for the Fed between controlling inflation and boosting growth. So I think this is a very important news item because Jeremy Jerome Powell is the chair of the Federal Reserve. And I wanted to show it because this it's interesting. I found something else online and I looked for an article, but I'm realizing the article does not have the passage that I thought it was the most important. So let me go find this passage and I'll be right back. Okay? I'll be right back. Okay, so this is the original piece of information I wanted to share with you. That's very important. And so the title says Powell, there is not any real experience. The Smoot-Hawley tariffs were not this large and they were 95 years ago. So apparently I'm not an economist, obviously, but there is, I would think, not, I think there is consensus apparently among economists that what caused the Great Depression were these Smoot-Hawley tariffs. The Great Depression back in the 30s, right? 1929. So so he's comparing Trump tariffs to the Great Depression, and compared to the Great Depression, these new tariffs are way significantly larger. Okay, so let's just play this clip here.
Um, it's so. Let me just agree that what comes back very strongly, and everyone will understand this. These are very fundamental changes in, long held in some cases policies in the United States, and there's not any real experience. I mean, the Smoot-Hawley tariffs were actually not this large, and they were 95 years ago. So there isn't a modern experience of how to think about this. And businesses and households are saying in surveys that they're experiencing incredibly high uncertainty. There's a lot of research, some of it from the Fed, showing that does lead to businesses and households stepping back from decisions, which of course makes common sense. And you hope that that's something that you go through a phase, and then you know what the things become more certain, and therefore people can resume normal economic activities given their understanding of what is the new normal. And your question really is, what if the uncertainty remains high? I think that's a difficult environment. I think people's expected rates of return would have to be higher. I think people would be, that would weigh on, to me, investment just in general. If the United States were to become a jurisdiction where risks are just structurally higher going forward, that would make us less attractive as a jurisdiction. We don't know that at this point, but I think that would be the effect.
Okay, so that was very clear, right? And just to think about the fact that this person, the chair of the Fed, is never somebody who is very emotional or exaggerates. He's telling like it is. And I also, of course, I was only asking yet, but I pick up from him that he's like, I wish he even giving his non-emotional character, he's thinking to himself, I need to be as clear as possible and speak as loudly as I possibly can, given the constraints of my position, that this is a very dire situation. And I'm getting also then the psychic information saying this is a very clear sign to the market, to anyone who's listening, that Trump is causing an economic downfall out of his whim, that we have the tools to stop this, but he's choosing not to. He's choosing to bankrupt the US, right? So it's saying, it tells me, yes, Rosie, correct. And it's interesting, I'm getting also that here, Rosie, what you said the other day also about Peter Thiel and those far right people, they want to crush the US so they can kind of create this bankrupt state they can build back, in the mold of their agenda. So we're being ruled by these people for the time being, for this moment. So let me go back to, let's see, do we need to go back to the other part here? So my question, I think the question really is what's next, because I think maybe the first part of the question is what is going to happen to Jeremy Powell, because Trump, he wants to fire him, even though he's not technically, it's not his right to fire him. He wants to fire him, and that would create even more uncertainty for the markets because the Fed is supposed to be independent from the central government, right? So what is going to happen here to Powell? Wow. Wow, I see that Trump is like a lion rattling the cage. He's being pulled back as if he's going to almost as if he's about to go to prison. But he's rattling the cage because he wants to crash, take it down, take it down, take it down. So and it's interesting that and I guys I've said this before and I yesterday's video was great. I really enjoyed it too, to just do it with Karina, to see the future, to see that this is temporary, but right now it is what it is, right? And I'm just telling you, and I think nobody's shocked, right? That, oh, well, he wants, but I see this like rage that Trump is really working. His goal is to destroy the economy, and he's a very destructive person, and he works, he's evil, right? We know that. And okay, all right, so, and that's what I think, guys, it's in a way, I think he has completely turned over the course of decades, right, towards Russia in terms of his allegiances. And he's doing it to please his master, who is Putin. But I think also he's completely brainwashed. He actually does want to destroy the US because he feels that, oh, the Russians recognize how special I am. And Americans, they just don't get it. So, they're just too full of themselves. So, you know what? They have to learn a lesson and humility or whatever. Like, so he's like, but does it make sense? So in a way, it's not, I don't think he's insane. I think he's just really evil. Okay. You could say, oh, he's crazy, but look at the things that he's doing are very rational in the sense that they're done to achieve a specific outcome. And the outcome is to crush and crash the economy. Okay, that's really what it is. I have a question actually, now that I said this. What is more important? Because does he really think that I think these tariffs ultimately only help China in the sense that it helps China find new markets, it helps China dictate a lot of a lot of things that maybe it wasn't doing before, right? Because there's a lot of important minerals that they produce and such. So my question is this. What is more important for Trump? Is he doing this really to quote unquote harm China, or is it doing this to crash the economy? What is the most important indicator here? He's pushing it because he wants to. It's saying that he doesn't really care. He just wants to show his power. He doesn't want to show China. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do something. China's gonna learn. China's gonna learn. But he's not serious. He's an actor in a way. So I think he wants to cause instability. That's more important. To say no, but then yes, but then no, but then yes. And so that people are like, what the hell's going on? Instability, chaos, and then the resulting recession. That's, I think, it's more the ultimate outcome here. So at this point, I know people say, oh, but he's going to be upset when he realizes he's losing. No, but I think he wants to show the world and this country that he is in charge, almost as if he's a godlike figure that has more power than anybody else. So what can we expect? Now I see that things are going down, down, down. And then I see again the same person from the Joint Chiefs of Staff that comes and takes the wheel away from him because he's kind of like I don't say a suicide, but a suicide driver or whatever, like crashing the whole thing into a wall with everybody in it. So, and I know someone said actually, come, having said that, I know someone said, "Oh, Rosie, but he fired General Brown." This is true, but I still think that General Brown is in charge. I don't know how, or maybe he represents the people that are still in charge. I don't think he's able to confirm all those people. I don't think he's able to confirm it. So there is a different line of succession until that person is confirmed. Okay, so that's what I got. So let's go to the next thing. Okay, so now we're going to talk about something that is really it's very hard. There's no way around it, right? And the next three or four pieces of news are going to discuss the fact that Russia, everything, all roads lead to Russia. And it's really alarming. We're not shocked. We know this. We have known it for a long time. But these are the signs, okay? And it's saying and I see it's interesting, even though I haven't even asked the question. I see him going down those like the things that there's like a package song. I don't know how you say it in English. And a slide, like a slide for adults. You know what I'm talking about? When you go, ooh, go down. So he's sliding down, and I see that interesting. He's gonna fall down with this giant slide. He goes down, and there's all these military people waiting for him. So the way down is sped up because of velocity, right? When you come from high up and you essentially mass plus speed, right? So uh so that's that. So let's start. I know kind of I'm not exactly avoiding it, but it is what it is, right? We're going to see more. The evidence is just so incredibly alarming that somebody has to do something, right? And let me, before I start, because since this is the big issue here, so let me ask the question. Is somebody going to stop it? It's saying, I still see the military. Okay. All right. We say because the military is going to be asked to do something that is suicidal to itself and the country. And ultimately they're going to say no. And that's the only thing that's going to limit Trump, essentially. It's kind of crazy, guys, but it is what it is. All right. So now this news essentially is about the fact that Ukraine having a lot of funding that wanted to purchase American missiles. Trump said no. This is how, like, this is, of course, benefits Russia. Zelensky is always ready, looking to purchase missiles. Trump dismisses Ukraine's request to buy This is so very, very serious, right? U.S. President Donald Trump on April 14th dismissed President Zelensky's request to buy Patriot air defense systems, accusing him of always looking to purchase missiles while falsely blaming Kyiv for instigating war with Russia, right? So it's really sickening. I don't know, there's no other way to put it. It is extremely sickening, right? Wow, look at this. You don't start a war against someone 20 times your size and then hope that people give you some missiles. It's just so sick. I can't, I have to stop reading. Okay. This part. So let me just, so what is going to happen to Zelensky? And then interesting, I see Mark Rutte is saying, okay, calm down. We're here. We know who these people are. Uh and it's saying no, he's like, yeah, I'm here to, and I see that Trump, honestly, he sees his role as avenging Russia because he sees Russia as his biggest fan and benefactor. And this is like how brilliant, in a way, how evil and brilliant Putin is, that he was able to completely cultivate this asset and turn him so completely that he has turned against his own country and he actually believes that Putin is good because it's, as you know, right, how it works for those types of people, because Putin is good for him, he thinks that he is good for everybody. Doesn't make sense. Like, he doesn't care. Others don't exist, only him. So what is good for him has to be good for everybody else. And that, and it shows me then Zelensky laughing at Trump because Trump will go down, and that's it. But then I get, Rosie, they have to do this so that the world sees and Trump's voters see this man works for Russia. I mean, there is just no doubt whatsoever. And that's what this is about. Okay. And it's a yes, Ukraine will stand and they will remain their own country. And Putin will die faster than we think. Okay. All right. In this, so now this is going back to remember the whole Signal Gate situation. So now they're firing all these associates or people connected to Hegseth. She's his chief of staff, something like that. They're crazy trying to find whoever quote unquote leaked. So my question is remember that piece I showed you guys? I think I still remember. I think it was right after I had returned from that trip, and it was from someone who has a Substack, a former professor. He was saying that he believes that there's a quote unquote deep state cell that's infiltrating all of this. Um, Initially, I had thought that it was the NSC guy. I forgot his name now. Waltz, Mark Waltz, is that his name was? I don't remember. Thank God that he was the one who had inadvertently added the other guy. But anyway, so this is um okay, one sec. This is a situation. So let's find out. So third top Pentagon official suspended in leak investigation. Colin Carroll, Chief of Staff to Deputy Defense Secretary Stephen Feinberg, was suspended a day after two other political appointees were placed on leave. The Pentagon put a third top official on administrative leave on Wednesday as part of a wide-ranging leak investigation, according to a defense official and a person familiar with the matter. The leaks under investigation include military operational plans for the Panama Canal, a second carrier headed to the Red Sea, Elon Musk's controversial visit to the Pentagon to discuss China, and a pause in the collection of intelligence for Ukraine. But think about it, guys, all of this stuff they're doing unreal. Carroll and the Defense Department did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Carroll, a Marine Corps Reserve officer, recently worked Anduril, a defense contractor that specializes in autonomous systems. Politico has reported that he was fired by the Biden administration for creating a hostile environment, while chief operating officer of the Pentagon's former Joint Artificial Intelligence Center. So, by the way, this is kind of interesting to me because Anduril is a company that is co-founded by one of Peter Thiel's associates. So Peter Thiel has a VC firm called Founders Fund, and one of the I think co-founders of Founders Fund named Trey Stevens started alongside this guy named Palmer Luckey. They started Anduril. So it's kind of interesting actually that this guy, because I would not think this guy is involved at all in this leak, to be honest with you, because of his background. So So let's find out here. So what is the situation? What is going on? No, he's like, no, it's not me. It's not me. No, no, no. I don't think it is. And I really don't think it is. And he's like, what? And he's thinking to himself, but this is the type of thing we would blame other people for. And how come they're doing this to me? I would never do that. So let's see there. What about Dan Caldwell and Darren Selnick? To be honest, I think these people are not involved in this. And okay, I'm getting information about where it may be coming from, but it's not them. And it's saying, Rosie, don't tell, I don't need to give details, right? About it because it doesn't matter. I just don't want, and this is one of those instances, whenever I get information, I feel like if Spirit did not want me to know, they would not tell me. But this time they're telling me, but they're saying, don't say, don't talk about it just yet. It doesn't, because it ultimately doesn't matter who. It's just saying it is not somebody on their side. So it's kind of interesting. Or it could be somebody on their side, but pretending, but still, it's not who they think it is, and that's what's funny. They're laughing, ha ha ha. Is somebody or let's just say some sort of collection agency that has access to people's phones. What would it be? Not the Pentagon. Hmm. And they're laughing. How desperate they are to do crazy, right? Even more bolder and bolder, shady things. But But it's great to feel their desperation. Like somebody wants to catch us. No, no. God, can't- we're trying to betray the country. I can't. We should be able to do this in silence, right? Interesting. Interesting. Okay. So, all right. Now, this is so egregious and disgusting. I mean, it's disgusting on every level, and that's what I was saying. I think maybe this is the grossest part of all. I mean, they're all terrible, but look at this. Trump's DC US attorney pick appeared on Russia state media over 150 times. Nominee Ed Martin did not initially disclose his RT and Sputnik appearances from 2016 to 2024 to the Senate. The State Department has said the networks act like arms of Russian intelligence. And guys, immediately, okay, let me try to cover myself up here. If you look at his face, to me, he screams alcoholic. I'm not saying it's just, and you know, Hegseth and all those people, they're kind of vulnerable, let's just say the least, right? And the fact that if he was on those channels so often, he was probably being paid. Think about it. Here it is. You see the RT. It was, remember, he was banned even for that. Wow, look at this. And he's covered, well, even he's making, wow, the Syrian dictator look good. This is how trashy he is, okay? Ed Martin said in Russia's state television network RT America that Syrian President Bashar al-Assad might not be to blame. Instead, Martin told viewers the situation was engineered by Washington, by people that want war in Syria. This classic Russian talking point and Syria talking point. So Martin is now interim U.S. Attorney for D.C. and Trump's pick to serve full time in the role. What could go wrong, right? What could go wrong? I feel like he's going to be um not approved. Is it possible? At Canada, that's right. So he not only did he show up at these places, he never said anything about it. So what is going to happen? No, I see that there may be an issue with confirming him, and then I see that there the same image that I saw earlier of Trump rattled in a cage, and then like them trying to push him in, and Trump not able to, and then and then there's like I don't an explosion. It could be a bomb, but it could also be like a bombshell. I mean, but the thing is, we already know this. It's not like, and is there anything else that could say no, Rosie? Yes, there will be more because it's saying people are going to they're going to share everything they have on these people. So they are pushed and forced to basically, they'll not be confirmed. It's saying, wow, wow, and it's saying it shows me again this image of Trump going down, trying to both the image of him trying to break the wall like with a truck, and also he's going down a slider very fast, and all these people from the military waiting for him at the bottom. You know what you if you go to the slider, you can hit the barrier, right? Kind of like skiing a little bit. So, wow, okay. Okay, um so they see so actually let me ask, okay, let's just go back to him. Uh what is let's see his face here. So what is going to happen to him, this guy? What is his future the next year or so? What is happening with this guy? He's really nervous and sweating cold. I kind of feel like he doesn't want the job because he's so afraid of that he would be it's one thing it's one thing to be on television. He didn't take it super seriously, but to have this job where it's saying my boss is a really Russian, he's saying. And he's just afraid, I feel like. Wow, and I see that he may not be confirmed in the end, but then I see, wow, wow. I don't know what to say. I see then eventually an image of him with a gun in his mouth and shot as if, but I think again posed an image posed of his body with a gunshot, and the gun inside his mouth. But it's telling me clearly that he will not have killed himself. So, yeah, he's compromised. Wow. And I see that there's issues with him related to sex. I mean, we're not shocked, right? Not sex, what do you say? Like when something where they have compromise on him, and he's very afraid because he feels like his life is falling apart, and he doesn't like the position he is in. Wow, it's well, it is what it is. And then I see, guys, after telling you this, I see this image of Trump with a magnet, like he's a magnet of all the bad things and bad people, and almost like not all of the people in the world, but all the people that surround him are not just because they're compromised, because they're bad people in a way or another. So if they're not overly corrupt like him, they are corruptible or have been corrupted because of some other secret. Does that make sense? So even if well, in the past they weren't like as corrupt as Trump financially, they have done something that could be exploited by Russia, like usually some sort of sexual thing or children or something. You know what I mean? And it's saying it's very much the case of this guy. As he was, there's another one. There's a guy named Scott Ritter. Do you remember him? There was before Trump went into office. There was an FBI raid in his house, and he was involved with RFK. Right, he's very close to Russia. So, and apparently he had been charged with, I don't know if he was like child pornography, something kind of shady like that, sexual harassment, something. So this is the people that they pick, right? That they say those people they can easily control, and that's the ones they like. High level. Oh my God, wow. Okay, and this, guys, this I left it for last. Okay, left it for last. Hold on. Okay, so this I think this person was on the Rachel Maddow show. I didn't watch it, but user with a Russian IP address tried to log into NLRB systems following DOGE access, whistleblower says. The blocked login attempts detailed an extensive whistleblower complaint filed to the Senate Intelligence Committee and others may indicate foreign adversaries have begun leveraging DOGE inroads into sensitive federal systems. The whistleblower Daniel Burlis provided forensic evidence and internal documentation to Congress and the U.S. Office of Special Counsel, accusing DOGE of exfiltrating large volumes of confidential data and disabling various security monitoring systems used to scan for malicious behavior in NLRB's networks. Okay, so I want to get to this point. The part that he talked about that I don't even know that it's in here is that he said at some point that they used it's not saying here, interesting. They used SpaceX Starlink. So let me just 1 second. I need to find that because that is really, really important. Okay, so here's a whistleblower's disclosure details how DOGE may have taken sensitive labor data. Mm. So I swear, guys, I saw something about them sharing the data over Starlink. Let's see. Mm, Let's see. Okay, so I finally found what I found what I'm looking for, but I still. So, okay, so whistleblower accuses DOGE of letting Russians access government accounts and shocking security breach. Oh, that's right, because it's not the same. No, it's not Portul, it's another one. Oh, his attorney, that's right. His attorney explained the details of how he apparently uncovered a massive amount of missing data from the NLRB following DOGE's efforts. Okay, so, but the most shocking allegations came from Bakaj, who was his attorney, who not only claimed that accounts based in Russia were using newly created Doge usernames and passwords to access sensitive data, but also directly tie the effort to Elon Musk and his Starlink concerns, which has a relationship with the Kremlin. There are two data points that I want to point out that should give everybody pause. The first thing, what Dan witnessed, was that within 15 minutes of Doge employees creating user accounts, within 15 minutes of those accounts being created, somebody or something from Russia tried to log in with the right username and the right passwords, that is to say, the right credentials. And that happens over 20 times. The second data point, which is really critical, is that Doge has also been using Starlink as a means to exfiltrate data. What that means is that, from our understanding, Russia has a direct pipeline of information through Starlink, which means that anything going through Starlink is going to Russia. Boom, 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 boom. Whoa, whoa, whoa. So, why is this so important? Because this is what Karina and I saw like a few days after the election, that the information was transmitted to Russia about the numbers, the voting numbers through Starlink. And there we have somebody with that evidence. Exactly. Hello, hello, hello. Huge, huge, huge. So, and I'm getting, so what does Spirit have to say about this? Yes, that's it. It's saying he got all this data and guys, I don't know what else. This is probably the largest data breach in all of America's everything sent to Russia, pretty much, right? So, and like, I think you need life in prison for this, to say the least, right? So, and it's saying everybody who's done that is going to prison. Imagine this is like not this doesn't even compare to what Snowden did. It's like because it's interesting that Russia welcomed him with open arms, open arms. I wonder why, right? So yes, and it's saying this is a very, and I see a lot of NATO was like, what? A lot of people want that information, are very happy that it was shared. And this is like, and he knows too. Wow. It's like the evidence, guys, is coming. It's saying, yes, Rosie, this is crucial. And so I have a question. Is this then true what the claims say that anything that goes, this is what I saw, and essentially what he's saying, that what goes to Doge goes to Russia. It's a direct yes. And it's saying, remember, Rosie, when you saw, that's right, guys, I remember. This is before, I don't know, was November what, 8th or something, I don't know. Before they took office, Corey and I had seen remember the young kids, I remember saying they went to Stanford and all kinds of really good schools, and they were working in these like kind of offices with computers on the day of the election, and then somehow transmitting that to Russians too. They were working together. There were people here in the US and also people working in Russia. So it is very important, this thing. Okay. They were saying yes, Rosie. Correct. Indeed. Yes, indeed. So interesting. No, really. So so yeah, so it's saying, oh, this is huge and more, and this is very, very important. And I see that they're freaking out that this came out because this is the key to everything, right? This is the key to what we saw. This is key to solving the election issue that in a way has been like there's so much going on, right? That we don't even have the time to look at that. But that's what it is. That's the thing they really want to cover. Out of all the shady things that they want to cover up, this is the most important one, the election. And the fact that this is coming out, showing their MO is huge. Okay, and it's saying interesting. You know, it shows me when you, I don't know if you, whenever you try to like rip a piece of fabric, that when the rip starts, it's so easy to just open the whole thing wide open. And that is what is happening here. So it's saying a lot of people in the government know what's going on. They're aware, and I see again the face of General Brown. So okay, all right, guys. So it's saying hold on tight, and I see it shows me there's another. I see another roller coaster for 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, something like that, and then it should stop. And then I see they turn off the park, the lights of the park, and then they turn back on again, and they have, will have caught the people. So okay, whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, so that's it for now. Thanks for watching. And subscribe if you haven't. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Bye.
Prayer and energy time. Let's use this time to send energy to people healing and going through complex health challenges. Their bodies need the energy we send them. Bo, recuperating from intestinal surgery at the Mount Sinai Hospital, battling cancer and winning. I spoke to her today and I felt her mother telling me she will survive and thrive. Cecilia, her sister, visits her daily. Cecilia is herself also battling cancer, and she's also winning. Bella is also undergoing cancer treatment. Let's envision her pain free and 100% cancer free. Treatment. Let's send Bo, Cecilia, and Bella energy. Bo, Cecilia, and Bella are fully healed, full of energy, cancer free, and proud to tell this story of great health and recovery. Okay, so just going to be silent for a bit as I send them energy right now. And I hope you do the same. And also, you can think of others that you know, your loved ones, someone that you feel may be in need of energy, and focus on them. Okay? Okay, so let's start. I'll be silent here for a little bit. Thank you again. Let's create this circle of energy around them. And so it is.